All right, everybody, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking at this super interesting article from Future Tech World titled Off-Grid Revolution.
Yeah.
And it's really got me thinking about the future of home electricity. Is it ditching the power company and going totally independent?
Yeah.
Is that really a viable option now?
Yeah, it's certainly a hot topic these days,
Yeah,
especially with all the advancements we've seen in solar panel and battery tech.
for sure. The article really dives deep into that stuff. But before we get ahead of ourselves, maybe we should take a step back.
Okay.
What are some of the issues with our current power grid,
Right.
the one we've all been using forever, that might make going off-grid appealing in the first place?
Well, one of the biggest problems is just how inefficient the traditional grid is.
Okay.
This article mentions a study that found up to 10% of electricity is lost during transmission.
Seriously, 10%?
10%! Think about that. That's
Yeah.
billions of dollars just gone every year.
Wow. That's a crazy amount of wasted energy and money. It really makes you wonder if there's a better way.
Well, the system we have is old.
Yeah.
It wasn't designed for the way we use energy today. The article also points out the insane cost of just maintaining it. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars annually.
And those costs get passed down to us.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's no surprise our energy bills keep going up.
Yeah, no kidding. So, okay, going off-grid sounds pretty tempting.
Sure.
Freedom from those rising costs. Energy independence.
Mm.
But what are some of the downsides, things homeowners need to be aware of?
Well, the initial cost is a big one. Getting a good solar panel system and enough batteries to power your whole house, that's a pretty hefty investment.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's not exactly a cheap switch to flip.
And even if you can swing that initial cost, you got to think of backup power.
Right.
What happens when there's no sun? You're going to rely on a gas-powered generator.
Which kind of defeats the purpose of going green, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit ironic. You're trying to get away from fossil fuels, and then you need a generator that runs on, well,
Fossil fuels.
exactly. It's a trade-off you have to consider.
For sure. It sounds like there's a lot to weigh. Potential savings and energy independence on one hand, but high upfront costs and backup power concerns on the other. The article talks about lithium-ion batteries being a big deal for all this. What's so special about them?
Lithium-ion batteries have really changed the game when it comes to energy storage.
Okay.
They're way more efficient than the old lead-acid batteries. Those were bulky, unreliable, and didn't last very long.
Yeah, it sounds like a huge upgrade.
It is. And this improvement in battery tech is a big reason why off-grid systems are becoming more realistic for everyday people.
So it's not just about solar panels anymore. The batteries are just as important.
Exactly. You need a way to store that solar energy for when you need it.
That makes sense. But I'm guessing there's still some limitations even with these new batteries.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that might slow down people going off-grid?
Cost is still a major factor. Even though lithium-ion batteries have gotten cheaper, they're still a significant expense, especially for a whole house system.
Right. And I imagine there are different types of lithium-ion batteries,
Yeah.
each with their own pros and cons.
Absolutely. The type of battery you choose will depend on your energy needs, your budget, and even the climate you live in.
So there's a lot of research involved in picking the right setup.
Definitely, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
And what about the solar panels themselves? Are there different types that homeowners should be aware of?
Oh, yeah, there are various types of solar panels.
Okay.
They differ based on the materials they use and how efficient they are. Some are better at capturing sunlight in low-light conditions, others are more durable.
Got it.
And, of course, the size and number of panels you'll need depends on how much energy you use and how much sun your house gets.
So this is definitely not something to rush into. There's a lot of homework to do.
It's an investment worth researching. You want to make sure you're getting the right system for your specific needs.
For sure. The article also mentions something called smart grids. Can you break that down for us?
A smart grid is like the next generation of the power grid. It uses digital technology and sensors to manage electricity flow more efficiently.
So it's like a smarter, more responsive system.
Exactly. It can also integrate renewable energy sources like solar and wind much better.
Interesting. And that brings us to the idea of hybrid solutions, which the article touches on as well. What does that mean exactly?
A hybrid solution combines on-grid and off-grid systems.
Okay.
So you can generate your own power with solar panels and batteries, but you're still connected to the traditional grid as a backup.
So you get the best of both worlds. Renewable energy and energy independence, but with the security of the grid if you need it.
Exactly. It's a more flexible approach. And it's gaining a lot of interest as a practical way to transition to a more sustainable energy future.
It definitely seems like a promising option. Something to consider, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Okay, so we've talked about the downsides of the traditional grid, the appeal of off-grid living, and some of the challenges that come with it. But what about the article's comment section? What are people saying about all this?
Well, there are a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah,
Some people, like Brian, were skeptical, worried about the cost and the lifestyle changes needed for off-grid living.
right.
Others, like Reed, were more optimistic. They see hybrid solutions as the way to go, a more balanced approach.
Yeah, I can see that. Seems like a more realistic and achievable goal for most people.
Mhm.
You don't have to completely disconnect to embrace renewable energy.
Exactly. It's about finding what works best for you and your situation.
And there were some really passionate voices in there too, like Carter, who saw off-grid living as more than just energy independence.
Right.
It was a statement, a rejection of the current system, a revolution.
Yeah, Carter definitely had strong opinions.
And while I don't agree with everything they said, I admire their passion. It reminds us that this is about more than just technology. It's about changing our mindset and our behaviors.
Absolutely. It's about asking ourselves how we can live more sustainably. How can we reduce our impact on the planet?
Right. It's about taking control of our energy choices and recognizing that we're all part of something bigger.
It's a shift in thinking.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see this conversation evolving and gaining momentum.
Yeah, it's definitely a sign of the times.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. The drawbacks of the traditional grid, the allure of off-grid living, and the challenges and possibilities that come with it.
Yeah, it's a complex issue with a lot of moving parts.
It is. But what I'm taking away from all this is that the future of energy is not set in stone. It's something we're actively shaping through our choices and actions.
I agree. The way we power our homes and our lives is evolving, and it's up to us to decide what that future looks like.
And speaking of deciding what the future looks like, we want to hear from you, our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on off-grid living? Does it appeal to you? What are your hopes and concerns about the future of energy?
We encourage you to keep learning, keep exploring. The more informed we all are, the better decisions we can make for a brighter, more sustainable future.
Couldn't have said it better myself. There. So thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of off-grid living.
Yeah, it's been a great discussion.
It has. We've only just scratched the surface of this topic, and we're excited to continue exploring it with you in our next deep dive. Stay tuned.
Absolutely. There's so much more to uncover. It really seems like this hybrid approach could be a good bridge to a more sustainable energy future. But of course, there are going to be some bumps in the road.
For sure. Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the hurdles we need to clear to make these hybrid systems work for everyone?
Well, one thing is we need a smarter grid, one that can handle all the ups and downs of renewable energy.
Okay.
Think about it. Imagine a whole neighborhood with solar panels. When it's sunny, the grid gets flooded with all this extra energy. But when the sun goes down, everyone switches back to the power plants.
Right.
Managing those rapid shifts requires a much more dynamic grid than what we have now.
It's like trying to control traffic during rush hour. You need a system that can adapt quickly.
Exactly. And that means investing in new grid management technologies and updating all that old infrastructure.
Which brings us back to the role of government, right? There needs to be some kind of framework to incentivize these investments and make sure these solutions are accessible to everyone.
Absolutely. Technology is only part of the equation. We need policies and regulations that support this transition to a more sustainable energy system.
It's a team effort. Policymakers, utility companies, tech innovators, and of course, us, the homeowners. We all have a part to play.
We do. It's about working together to create a future where energy is clean, reliable, and affordable for everyone.
And speaking of homeowners, let's go back to that comment section in the Future Tech World article. Aside from Brian, who was pretty skeptical about off-grid living because of the cost and the lifestyle changes,
Yeah.
there were other interesting perspectives in there, like Reed, who was all about those hybrid solutions.
Yeah, Reed seemed to get it. You don't have to ditch the grid completely to go green. It's about finding a balance.
I like that. It's a more practical and achievable goal for most people. It's not an all-or-nothing situation.
Exactly. There's a whole range of options in between, and it's about figuring out what works best for your individual needs and circumstances.
It's about having options and being able to choose the path that makes the most sense for you.
Right. And those options are expanding all the time as technology continues to evolve.
And there were some really passionate voices in there too, like Carter, who saw off-grid living as this big statement,
Yeah.
a rejection of the status quo.
Right.
It was like a revolution for them. And while I might not agree with everything they said, I appreciate their passion. It's a reminder that this isn't just about technology. It's about a fundamental shift in how we think about energy and our relationship with it.
It is. It's about challenging the way things have always been done and imagining a better way forward.
It's about taking ownership of our energy choices and recognizing that we have the power to create a different future.
And that we're not alone in this. There are people all over the world who are working towards the same goal, a more sustainable energy future.
That's a powerful thought, and it gives me hope that we can actually make a difference.
We can. Every choice we make, every action we take moves us closer to that goal.
It's not about waiting for someone else to fix it. It's about doing what we can right now.
Exactly. It's about being the change we want to see in the world.
I love that. It's about empowerment and taking action. And that brings us back to the role we play as individuals. It's not just about choosing to go off-grid or not.
It's about being mindful of our energy consumption, supporting policies that promote renewable energy, and having these conversations about the future of energy.
It's about making conscious choices every single day.
And recognizing that even small changes can have a big impact.
It's about shifting our mindset and embracing a more sustainable way of life.
It's about understanding that we're all connected and our actions have consequences.
It's about taking responsibility for our impact on the planet.
And working together to create a brighter future for generations to come.
It's a big task, but I believe we're up to the challenge.
I do too. We have the technology, the knowledge, and the passion to make it happen.
And that's a really inspiring thought to leave our listeners with. The future of energy is in our hands.
Let's make it a future we can all be proud of.
You know, it's amazing to think how much this whole conversation about energy has changed, even in just the past few years. Off-grid living has gone from this fringe idea to something that seems a lot more realistic now.
Yeah, it really has. It's pretty incredible how fast technology can change and how much more aware we are of the environmental challenges we're facing.
Definitely. But I have a feeling this is just the beginning.
Right.
What kind of crazy new energy innovations are on the horizon? What is you excited about the future of all this?
Well, one area that's super promising is next-generation energy storage. We talked about lithium-ion batteries,
Right.
and they've been a huge leap forward, but researchers are already working on even more advanced options.
Okay, give us a sneak peek into the future of batteries.
Uh-huh. All right, well, there's a lot of buzz about solid-state batteries. They have the potential to be even safer, more energy-dense, and longer-lasting than lithium-ion.
Wow.
And then you have flow batteries, which are better for storing massive amounts of energy, perfect for large-scale applications like the power grid.
So it sounds like we could be on the verge of a whole new battery revolution that could make off-grid living even more practical and appealing.
Absolutely. It's an exciting time to be following this technology.
And it's not just about batteries, right?
Yeah.
There's all this cool stuff happening with smart grids, energy management systems that can optimize how we use energy, and even AI that can predict and manage energy demand.
It's mind-blowing to think about how it's all coming together. It feels like we're at a turning point, a real energy revolution.
I think you're right. And the best part is that this revolution could help us tackle some of the biggest problems we're facing. Climate change, energy poverty, the need for a more sustainable future for everyone.
Absolutely. It's not just about saving money on your energy bill. It's about creating a fairer and more sustainable energy system for the whole planet.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's not
Mhm.
just about technology. It's about
Yeah.
making the world a better place.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It's about using our ingenuity and our collective will to create a future where energy is clean, abundant, and accessible to everyone.
Well said. And now we want to hear from you, our listeners. What are your thoughts on all this? Does off-grid living appeal to you? Whether it's going completely off-grid or using a hybrid system, what are your hopes and dreams for the future of energy?
We encourage you to keep learning and keep asking questions. The more we all understand about these issues, the better choices we can make.
Couldn't agree more. So thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the world of off-grid living.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It really has, and it's clear that this is a topic that's only going to become more relevant in the years to come. We've only scratched the surface here, but we hope this is giving you some food for thought and inspires you to learn more about the future of energy.
Absolutely. The future is what we make it, and we're excited to see what we can achieve together.